as well. All right, more time walk. Let's head back down to the feature match area here. Take a look at some more of our players from our pod. Alex Watt. All right, let's check out his Izzet deck, and he's got a Planeswalker. All right.
Yeah, so this is just what you want. Smooth 2-color deck, nice mix of creatures and spells going up the curve, and then topping out with a bomb rare Ral Izzet Viceroy. This is a deck I'd be thrilled to have.
Yeah, this looks great. We Dragonauts, Leapfrog, Murmuring Mystic, 2 League Guild Mages. Sign me up. All right, and we saw this draft deck be drafted this morning, Brad Bone and Celestia deck.
Yeah, really nice looking deck. A tiny bit heavy at the top of the curve, I think. If, having 6 cards that effectively are costing you 6 or more mana is a touch heavy. I don't know necessarily that I would have changed anything in deck building, but if there's a weakness of the deck, it's that. Otherwise, solid curve of creatures. Knight of Autumn is fantastic. Triple Rock Charger. So both decks that I would be pleased to have.
He kept in loads 3 copies of Hunted Witness too. All right, here we go. Brad Bonin on Celestia versus Alex Watt on Izzet. Both players currently undefeated at the end of this match. Only one of them will be 10-0. League Guildmage here on turn 2 for Alex. Excellent play. Really good Guildmage too. Can draw you cards, can copy spells. Swinging in for a couple of points of damage here, knocking Brad down to 18. It's got a Guild Gate here. Oh, maybe not. First, we're going to play out that Ornery Goblin. Generous Stray will draw Brad a card, put a 1/2 body in the way of that Ornery Goblin too. Alex able to find his 4th land. And just pass the turn. And you mentioned, attacking with your Guild Mages versus making sure you get your value out of them. We might be in the position of getting our value right now.
Right, so Alex Watt is in a very enviable position here of having a powerful mid-late game control deck, having come out nicely, made it to turn 4 with a high life total, and now he just has the luxury of generating some value off of the League Guild Mage. And Brad Bonin, forced to just deploy some creatures and still a ways away from mounting an offense.
Yeah, able to find card off of that Guild Mage. Draw step just feels great. Much better than 2 points of damage here. The Lava Coil was one of the cards that he found. Hellkite Whelp is the play. 3/3 pings one of the attacks, a creature. There's a Luminous Bonds to take care of it. All right, so the Parhelion Patrol will get in an attack here and be able to mentor onto the Generous Stray.
So Brad demanding a trade against the Ornery Goblin.
That's fine. Take 2 down to 18 all. Second League Guild Mage in hand too, but let's draw some more cards. Radical idea here with Jumpstart for Alex Watt. Man, he's got a nice looking Izzet deck. Parhelion Patrol in for another 2, does have Vigilance. And there's Siege Worm from Brad.
Yeah, the good news for Brad, or the best he can hope for, is that Alex Watt's removal spell is damage-based in red, and that creatures like Siege Worm and World Soul Colossus can just run roughshod over the matchup if they're too difficult to kill. We'll see if that proves true, or if Alex Watt has things like Capture Sphere. I do recall that he had 2 copies of Unexplained Disappearance, which is a short-term answer, at least, to those larger creatures.
Brad also has a Rock Charger in hand, I believe, too, so game plan could be to start sending that siege worm flying through the air. Is it a tricky deck to play? Guild Mage number 2 for Watt. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday. My turns always take a tiny bit longer when I'm playing Is It.
Definitely, particularly with those jumpstart spells.
Yeah. Stuff like Sonic Assault. Ooh, Siege Worm number 2. For Brad is going to get tapped down with that Assault. He'll take another 2, fall to 16, but 2 Siege Worms is 2 Siege Worms.
Wow, so Alex tapped the Siege Worm at the end of the turn, indicating to me that he's taking an aggressive posture, which I really like this. If he doesn't have answers to the Siege Worm, next best thing is killing your opponent.
Absolutely. All right, let's swing on in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage there on that attack from the 2 Guild Mages and the Whisper Agent. Lava Coil here takes down Parhelion Patrol. Exiles it. 3 mana left up, so we were able to jumpstart that Sonic Assault 2 if he wants.
Yeah, that seems to me that that's part of the plan. And this represents lethal if he can actually connect with his 7 points of power on the table. That's a big if, because for sure we can expect Brad to deploy some creatures post-combat.
Oh. All right, speaking of a few creatures, how about a March of the Multitudes here?
Okay, so I think what happened there is Brad responded to the Sonic Assault by making a bunch of 1/1 tokens. And did he convoke with the Siege Worm or attack with the other Siege Worm? He convoked with it. So 5 1/1 lifelink tokens.
Those lifelink tokens be a problem here for Alex Watt, who it appeared was trying to force through a lot of damage by tapping down Brad's attackers and blockers. Might be time to move on to a slightly different game plan and adapt.
Yeah, that's right. The March of the Multitudes definitely changed the equation here. It makes it really hard for him to win the game, so now he has to hunker down and actually find a way to answer those Siege Worms.
See a Book Devourer in hand for Watt. There's a Rubber Belt Boar. That's going to pump up the Whisper Agent. But no attacks. Back over to Brad.
Uh-oh, and this is not the game Alex Watt wants to fight. Having to probably trade off multiple creatures against these Siege Worms.
Yeah, and in come the worms here for Brad Bonin. And looks like double blocks are in order for Alex. But that always feels very dangerous when your opponent has that much open mana and Selesnya has access to more than a couple tricks. All right, there we go. 2 pairs of double blocks. Brad kind of just shrugs, says, yep. Trade my 2 Siege Worms for your entire board. There's a Rock Charger, and by the way, I still have all of these lifelinking soldiers, and now a giant World Soul Colossus on the Convoke here.
8/8, perfect against an opponent at 8 life.
And Alex Watt is forced to pack it in here. Brad Bonin's Selesnya Assault is just too much for him to overcome with the Is It League.
That was really a perfect showing from Selesnya, which is that it's not always a beatdown deck, right? Brad's first play to the board was on turn 3. He didn't really start attacking his opponent's life total until turn, 6 or 7?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was just the overwhelming power and the way the advantage can spiral using the Convoke mechanic. It's about board presence. And finally, Brad's board presence was large enough that Alex Watt was beaten into submission.
Hunted Witness on the table for Brad. Discovery cast for Alex Watt, able to surveil 2, draw a card. Beacon Bolt put into the yard. Get in there, Hunted Witness. Watt down to 18. There's Rock Charger for Brad. Unexplained Disappearance sends it back to hand. And Surveil again. Leapfrog is binned. There's the red mana for Watt that he had been missing. And Murmuring Mystic for Alex
this card
Watt.
that has just been so good throughout the whole weekend. And Brad with Selesnya, his removal spell in the form of Prey Upon and Luminous Bonds, he's so vulnerable to Murmuring Mystic, it's so difficult for him to answer.
Parhelion Patrol for Brad here. 2/3 Mentor Flyer. But we've just seen the Mystic absolutely take over games. Lava Coil here takes care of the Flyer. Nets Watt a bird token. Yeah. Not only are you dealing with your opponent's spells, you're also building up your own board with this card.
So Alex Watt doing us a favor of shuffling Beacon Bolt to the top of his graveyard. I guess that was surveilled with Discovery earlier.
The Rock Charger comes back into play for Brad here. Radical Idea.
Oh, and that's just what Alex Watt wants here. Repeatable
Nice.
source of bird tokens, helping him hit his land drops.
Just chaining Radical Ideas now. 3 bird tokens in play.
Oh, you want to send in your Rock Charger? How about I block with 100 birds?
Also, P.S. I have a Beacon Bolt in the yard. With a couple of Radical Ideas. All right, so in they come. Hunted Witness and the Rock Charger. Birds here deciding if they want to swoop in for the block. All right, so we're going to trade off a bird token for half of Hunted Witness here. Generous Stray for Brad, drawing a card. And you know what? This is really cool, too, to watch because we're kind of getting to see both of these decks do their thing a little bit in these guilds. Kind of really ideal versions of draft decks.
Agreed.
And, you know, a lot of people have been wondering, what is weak? What should I stay away from in draft? What should I kind of gravitate towards? Well, as we can see here from these two decks, both entirely viable options.
Right, the lesson is you can make anything work. I think we are seeing a real vulnerability of Selesnya in this single card Murmuring Mystic. It's just so hard to kill and so hard to beat in a fair game because, as we mentioned, Selesnya is not always a super fast archetype. So if Brad can't muster a quick Siege Worm or his March of the Multitudes, I think he's just going to get out-muscled.
Who would win, Murmuring Mystic or March of the Multitudes?
Think March of the Multitudes. Although Alex Watt has been representing Disdainful Stroke, I've noticed. Oh wow, yeah. So their World Soul Colossus very quickly Disdainful Stroked, and I think now Alex Watt is going to start pressing his advantage. But you could tell he was not tapping out on his main phase. For example, even on turns he was missing his land drops, he wasn't main phasing the Radical Ideas. That indicates that maybe he did have Disdainful Stroke for a while.
How big is this Beacon Bolt, too? Five birds in play now for Alex. A lot more represented just from Jumpstart in the graveyard, too. All right, Murmuring Mystic hitting the red zone. 2 birds swooping on in for 3 points of damage. There's Book Devourer for Alex Watt. All right. I've kind of yet to see this card do its thing. If it connects, you can discard your hand and draw that many new cards. It's also got Trample, I believe.
Yes, 4/5 Trample. Oh no, Brad missed with his Selesnya Woodcaller.
Oh, did he? Luminous Bonds locks down to Book Devourer.
And that's an example. Brad was probably holding that Luminous Bonds for a while, but the real problem card here is Murmuring Mystic.
Yeah.
And it's not the body that's the problem, it's the triggered ability.
It's the same bad feel as Luminous Bondsing Niv Mizzet.
Not quite that bad. Nothing is quite that bad.
That's fair. That's fair. Beacon Bolt takes down Rock Charger here. Another bird. Brad Bonin just getting completely overwhelmed by a single card in this match. Well, with the help of some other Izzet cards, but Murmuring Mystic, just insane. Rebel Belt Boar buffs another bird token by 2. Power. Swings in, no cards in hand. There's a Rock Charger, 2-drop Devkaran Dissident for Brad. But the Air Force has been assembled for Alex Watt.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say if Brad doesn't draw March of the Multitude's next turn, he's done. Alex Watt might point Beacon Bolt at Rock Charger. No, he's going to be a little more conservative.
Boar gets in, double block here from Brad. Will take down the 2/2. Just a land in hand for Alex. So
I'm sorry, the Beacon Bolt is already used.
Ah, yes. Yeah, just 2 lands. Not willing to trade in, or excuse me, let one of those birds go down. There's a Piston Fist Cyclops.
Wow, so is Watt out of gas? He used up all his jumpstart, the Radical Ideas, and the Beacon Bolt all gone. And the Book Devourer would have been really nice to connect with in this spot where he's flooding and just needs a little more action.
Yeah, just plays a land and says go. So, all right, here's a Wood Shaper from Brad. Let's take a peek. There's a World Soul Colossus. That's what he's going to take. So that's going to be pretty big, but no trample.
Right, so it will start chipping away at that army of birds, but it won't actually end the game for quite some time.
Unexplained Disappearance sends back the Rock Charger. We're going to get a Surveil here. Another bird for Alex. Just picks them all up in a pile. Burbs in! A terrifying flock attacks the face of Brad Bonin. He has no French fries to distract them. All right, Righteous Blow is going to take care of one of them. I guess in my mind I'm imagining them as seagulls. Okay, so does Brad have a chance now here? It looked pretty dark for him a couple turns ago.
Well, what he really needs is Alex Watt to not have a good follow-up play, because even one more way to remove the Rock Charger, and there's no way Brad's life total is going to survive more hits from this flock of seagulls.
All right, let's see what Alex drew for this turn, and is he willing to just get in there? Got to be careful about that World Soul Colossus now, too. There's a Boar helping him push through even more damage. Wow, that Boar pairs great with Murmuring Mystic's birds.
Yeah, so just at face value, Brad is going to be dead to the next attack. He needs to muster another flying blocker or some way to gain life, because he is at 4 against 4 flying creatures.
Brad turns his creature sideways. Quick blocks from Alex here. Take Heart. Takes down the Rubble Belt Boar with the fresh-faced Recruit. Giant hit there from the Colossus. And there's Siege Worm. So he's able to gain a couple of life off that Take Heart, up to 6, which is very important.
So Alex thinking about the 2-turn plan. He might send 3 birds twice, leave back Mystic and 1 bird to play defense.
Looks like he's made some notes there as to what he might expect from his opponent's deck list.
Yeah, so along those lines, the players are only able to reference one another's deck list between games, not during gameplay. But you can take notes, and you're always allowed to reference your own notes during games.
Okay.
Let me clarify that. You're allowed to reference notes that you've taken during the game. You can't reference notes that you brought from home or anything like that.
All-out swing here for Brad Bonin. Mystic and a bird, 1 on the Colossus, 1 on the Fresh-Faced Recruit. Siege Worm, unblocked. Watt down to 4. All right. Does Brad have something? 1 card in hand. Wow, this game has really gotten super close.
This has been an amazing match so far.
Yeah, it has.
Both games close, pretty deep into the later turns, and it looks to me like they're gonna split them and go to game number 3.
Alex Watt being very careful here. Taking a look through Brad's graveyard, trying to think of what he could still have potentially drawn to make this all-out attack with the birds incorrect. I love this. 1 more bird and it wouldn't be this hard of a decision.
Well, the question for me is, okay, I guess Alex is probably just deciding whether to attack with Murmuring Mystic. But the thing I'm thinking is, if I don't win this turn, what happens? You know, how can I win next turn if I'm not going to win this turn?
Great point. All right, so there we go. Alex Watt takes game number 2, tying things up here with Brad Bonin. Alex on Izzet, Brad on Celestia, both pretty great versions of each of their decks, so this is really cool to watch.
Indeed.
League Guildmage here for Watt on turn 2. He's got 2 in his deck. Ooh, this is a nice one. Knight of Autumn on turn 3.
So substantially above par creature on turn 3. Going to unload some damage onto Alex Watt's life total.
All right, swinging on in. Alex Watt down to 16. There's a Parhelion Patrol as a follow-up. Disdainful Stroke. Unexplained Disappearance.
Wow, he actually does have Disdainful Stroke, but he's being very conservative. Or holding on to that stroke in particular.
And there's
the Nightmare card for Brad Bonin.
Can't even attack with the Knight of Autumn anymore. I mean, you can. He's got Take Heart in his deck and Righteous Blow and that kind of thing, but... Speeding things up here on our Time Walk pre-recorded match as we get closer and closer to our next round of draft coming up here at Montreal. We're just going to play the Parhelion Patrol again. Not try and bluff him.
Huh. I don't know what would have been right for Brad, but I would have loved to see an attack there just to put Alex to the test. I mean,
I would have done
you have your strongest card, but also 4 points of life is not trivial.
Radical Idea draws Alex a card, gets a bird token. Rock Charger. All right, that helps send... Oh, I was going to say send... We're just convoking out World Soul Colossus, 3-3. Jumpstart on Radical Idea, another card, another token for Alex Watt. But we've got some flyers that are holding off those birds, at least for now, from Brad. All right, we're swinging on in. Rock Charger Sends Knight of Autumn to the air. Parhelion Patrol has a Mentor trigger onto the Rock Charger.
So no obvious blocks that would be good for Alex Watt. Huh.
Just draws a card with a Guild Mage. Decides to soak up a little damage with that chump block there with the bird token.
I like it.
Hunted Witness played out. Siege Worm Convoked. Immediately Disdainful Stroke by Alex Watt.
Ooh, Lava Coil,
Yeah.
really nice pickup. That's exactly what he needed. It's an efficient removal spell for one of these flyers. Generate a bird token for his troubles. Oh, and he's going to copy it with the League Guild Mage.
Nice!
Really savvy play here. I like this a lot. Now keep in mind the copy is not going to generate a bird token, but nonetheless kill Brad Bonin's 2 best creatures.
Wow, League Guild Mage really showing us off for us here. That's awesome. Luminous Bonds.
Oh, and a tough way to do it for Brad.
Yeah.
He does unlock a good attack for himself.
All right, so 3 birds jumping in front of the Parhelion Patrol here, but able to mentor onto the Hunted Witness. World Soul gets in too, knocking Watt down to 5 life. Brad Bonin still at a very comfortable 18. Piston Fist Cyclops here for Watt. Generous Stray. Great draw.
Yep, free roll.
All right, Cyclops trades off with the Colossus.
There you see Alex Watt drawing a card at the end of the turn with League Guild Mage.
Yeah, are you tempted to Luminous Bonds that League Guild Mage instead of that Murmuring Mystic at all?
Well, Luminous Bonds doesn't shut off activated abilities, does it?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of some...
Arrest. It was
Yeah.
functionally the same card that would shut down.
oh, I was thinking of Demotion. That one also shuts off.
That one would be nice.
Yeah. More of a Boros card, though. That Hitchclaw Recluse doing a little bit of work here for Brad, too.
Yeah, that's off the sideboard, I believe.
Boar for Watt. Siege Worm for Brad here. Draw a card with the Guild Mage. 1 card left in hand for Brad. That Guild Mage sitting on the board, offering Watt access to more cards here in the game that Brad simply does not have in these colors. Beacon Bolt.
And a super powerful card for Alex Watt that we haven't seen him draw in this match is Ral. Is it Viceroy?
That's true.
Sooner or later in a board stall where he's finding 2 cards per turn off of the League Guild Mage, it's going to show up eventually.
And another copy with the Guild Mage there to take down the Siege Worm and the Hitchclaw Recluse off of that Beacon Bolt. That was sweet.
Yeah, great stuff from Alex Watt.
Leapfrog here, and Guild Mage has been the star of this game for sure with that copied Beacon Bolt and copied Lava Coil.
A great match between 2. Yeah, there it is, Ral.
There's Ral.
That's probably going to be the nail in the coffin for Brad Bonin. But a great match between 2 very strong draft decks. It
Absolutely.
looks like Alex Watt is going to advance to 10-0. And, you know, if I had to make a prediction, I think Alex Watt might be our last undefeated player with this really strong draft deck. A couple rounds from now, he could be 12-0 or at least 11-1. Meanwhile, Brad Bonin, with a good deck, he's really impressed me in this match with his skill and tenacity. I'm rooting for him to come out of the draft at maybe 11-1 as well, but at least 10-2.
Hypothesizzle here. Bird tokens galore. Cards galore. Yeah, this is it at its finest here in draft from Alex Watt. Planeswalker to boot. I'm curious to find out where he picked that up in the draft. Weed Dragonauts. Ugh, it's got everything. I'm in love.
It's fairly academic at this point.
Yeah. The bird is word as I swing on in. Here's Weed Dragonauts 2, and Brad just kind of has to sadly draw the card off the top of his library and say go. But like you said, his deck is pretty awesome too, so he could certainly fight back to a 2-1 record with that Celestia deck. But Alex Watt takes it down 2-1 over Brad Bonin in our time walk match. All right, really cool stuff there, Reed. And the name of the game really, I think, was Murmuring Mystic for Alex Watt.
I think so too. The League Guildmage did a lot of work in the board stall situation there, but Murmuring Mystic was the card that allowed him to even stabilize in the first place.
Is that a card that you're going to just kind of be looking to when you open up your packs? Guilds of Ravnica?
For sure.
All right, well, we've got more draft coming your way in just a second. Here, don't go anywhere.